Yeah, it's coming up. Yes, we can see it.
It's coming. It's coming.
We got
So
it.
you got it. Great. So I titled this presentation "No Strategy Approach," and I realized that it's a bit unusual to come to the Global Strategy Summit with such a presentation, such a title. But give me a few minutes, and I will explain everything to you. I know that it is a little bit provocative title, and I did it deliberately because I believe that from time to time, at least, we should look at familiar things from unfamiliar angle and to rethink things we believe are fundamental. That's why I chose this title, and that's what I'm going to talk with you this morning. What we know about strategy, I would like to focus our attention about two facts about strategy. First, most people believe in the formula that you can see on your screen. What does it mean? That basically it means that you are in the current state in your point A, and you want to move to your desirable future state, point B, and you need a strategy as a way to move from A to B. This the fact, and most of strategists believe in this formula, and I used to believe in it too. And the fact number two is that up to 80% strategies fail. We don't have exact numbers, but it doesn't matter. We all know that most strategies fail this way or another. And I see a connection, a causal relationship between these two facts. Unlike many, I don't believe that strategic theory is inherently correct and that it is just misused. If you stack all the books on strategy, they probably reach the moon. The world's best CEOs try to apply strategy in practice, yet time and again, time after time, reality proves that this theory doesn't work. It's time to question the fundamental assumptions and maybe change them, or at least we have to think about them. As Albert Einstein said, the first sign of insanity is to do the same things but expect different results. So what's wrong with the fundamental of strategy theory? I believe it's based on some wrong assumptions, and in this presentation, I will share with you some thoughts on what's wrong with business strategy and how we can fix it. So, but what makes me think that I have the right to discuss it? It's a very good question. Just a few words about me. I was introduced already, but I will just I would like to underscore some points that I used to be a CEO myself. So I used to work as a CEO for 13 years. And before that, I used to be a top manager. So I really did this work myself. Then I already almost 9 years, I have been working as a strategy consultant, and I have been working for more than 12 years on boards of directors as a strategy committee chairman. So after 2 years in business, I became an independent consultant, and I've led dozens of strategy projects across industries. My experience as a CEO, advisor, board member, and consultant has allowed me to look at strategy from various angles. And I see it clearly. Strategy is broken. I mean, classical strategy. The strategy I learned myself 20 years ago on the MBA program. So I believe it is broken, and the approach to long-term planning needs everything. That's what I'm going to tell you in the next 50 minutes. Strategies use many different terms: goals, aspirations, BHAGs, bottlenecks, core disciplines. There are a number of them. I have a collection of these terms, and there are more than 200 points in this collection, 200 items. And often they use the term bridge. Strategy is a bridge between point A and point B.
Swav, if you don't mind, can you put the presentation in presentation mode? So we can see the slide movements.
It is in the presentation mode.
Yeah, but
You
we
don't
can see.
you don't.
No, yeah. But it is not in the. Maybe you need to share it into the slide
Share it, but
presentation
it's
mode.
shared. I stop sharing.
We
I
can
will
see the
try to
screen.
share it.
Yeah.
What's on the screen?
Nothing so far. Now we can see the normal presentation in a normal mode.
More presentation.
Yeah. Now can you just open the presentation?
Use a window.
And then
A presentation is opened.
Yeah. Now we can see the conference. Yeah.
The conference. It's interesting. But you saw the presentation initially.
The presentation, but it's
And
not
then
in the presentation mode. Yeah. Deep, can you help us?
Yes. So when you click on share, are you sharing the entire screen, or are you choosing just the file? If you choose just the presentation file, you only that will be visible to us. So just share the entire screen, your entire desktop.
the screen.
Yeah.
Share entire screen, and
then
do you see the
navigate to
presentation?
the. Now it is in the file mode. Hit on that presentation icon on the bottom. You can see that one.
Yeah.
It works now.
Yeah. Yes.
So you see the presentation now.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Does it work when I change? Okay, I go ahead. So strategies use different terms, goals, aspirations, and so on. But the very popular one of the very popular terms is bridge. So strategy is basically a bridge between point A and point B, between the present and the future, between your current state and your future success. And what's wrong with this metaphor? After all, this approach works in many of areas. If you are building a house, planning your education, or organizing a trip, it works great. But the thing is, strategy is about developing a highly complex system inside an unknown and unpredictable one. Ordinary down-to-earth logic just don't work here. So, do you see the next slide?
Yes.
We can see.
Yes, okay. I believe we have fixed it. So when you build a bridge in the real world, you need to explore the other side. You need to see what's on the other side. I'm sorry. Otherwise, you will have what you see on in the picture on the screen. You also need to be sure that your goal is achievable somehow, that you can build this bridge. And you need tested and reliable tools. So you need to be sure then you use applicable and the right tools for building this particular bridge in this particular area. But in the landscape of strategy, in the language of strategy, it means that you need to somehow jump into the future and explore the point B, your strategic goal, to ensure that this is achievable and relevant. And there are no ways to, a lot of people use this term achievable. The goal must be achievable or it must be relevant. But the problem is that there are no tools to check if it is really achievable or relevant. You must ensure the tools you have chosen, your strategy, can take you to the point B. But this is nonsense because after centuries of evolution, humans still haven't mastered three things: flying like a bird, choosing worthy leaders, and predicting the future. There are three things that we can't do as humans. So we can't see the point B. We can't see the other bank of the river. So we can't build it the way we build bridges. Goals are nothing but dreams. Goals are nothing but dreams. No one can be sure that their goals are achievable. There are no proven methods to check it. Leaders always have two options, and I had two options too when I was a business leader, and both options suck. They either blindly believe their goals are achievable, and most of the leaders opt for this way, or assume that they can somehow make the world help them achieve these goals. Both approaches sound great in motivational books, but don't work in real life, unfortunately. But that's not the main problem. Another problem is that a strategic goal is supposed to be the target state of our business. But often this strategic goal is set as revenue or profit or market capitalization or market share, but that's not a future state. That's just a single metric. No single goal can represent a company's future state. Even a small company is a very complex system. Its target state can't be framed by a single metric or even by several metrics. And even this is not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is that if our strategic goal is set as revenue, profit, market cap, who is the main beneficiary if it is achieved, if this strategic goal is achieved? Yes, you're right, shareholders are the main beneficiaries. But let's look at how any company, big or small, works. So I believe that this goal set as a profit violates the basic principles of how any business works. Every company, in any strategy, in every company, in any country, in any industry, big or small, has six major stakeholder groups: customers, employees, business partners, shareholders, regulators, and society. I use the circle to visualize the idea that they are all equally important. A company is unthinkable without customers. I can't imagine a company that doesn't have any clients. Sometimes in the future, there will be companies, businesses without employees. They will be replaced by AI or robots, but it is impossible today. So no company can work without employees. Every company has suppliers, subcontractors, distributors, the company uses bank services, etc. There are no businesses without shareholders. Though when I was a CEO, I dreamed about working for such a company, but unfortunately I couldn't. Regulators can suspend or stop a company's activity. And if society doesn't support a company, it's very hard for it to work. They are all equally important. Ignore just one group and you will learn that the word bankruptcy means. So every company, every business must satisfy the needs and requirements of six stakeholder groups. And the problem is that when we set a goal as a profit or revenue or market capitalization, we work for the interest of only one group, which is, from my point of view, is wrong. Prioritizing shareholders as at the expense of other stakeholders is like openly loving one of your kids more than others. We have to love all of them equally because every company, every single second participates in a value exchange. That's the topic I'm going to talk right now. Moreover, customers are the only stakeholder group that brings money into the business. All the other groups take money away from it. But do we often set strategic goals that reflect customer needs? I have seen it, but these goals were secondary. They were no main goals. They were used only to achieve the biggest goal. The main goal is to, for instance, to increase the company profit. Think about it. Customers are the most critical group for any business. A company can survive without shareholders for a while, but without customers, no chance. And yet, our strategic goals are always about about what shareholders want. So all strategic goals are typically about shareholders. When we set shareholders' interest as a company's strategic goal, we turn employees and business partners into mere assets and customers into walking wallets. And you're still wondering why so many strategies fail? I believe that's the main problem. Every time you experience bad service, you are also customers. You shop, you travel, you buy a lot of things for yourself, and every time you experience bad service or low quality product, just know this company's strategic goal is profit, not you. Let's take a step back and ask yourself what it means to make business, actually, what it means to manage a company. What does the CEO do all day? The CEO balances stakeholder interests. Customers' needs often clash with shareholders' desires. Stakeholder desires don't always align with employees and business partners' expectations. And regulators and society have their own values and demands, adding even more pressure to the company. A successful business is not the one that sells its products best or the most profitable one. A company becomes truly successful when its leaders find the right balance between the conflicting interests of all 6 stakeholder groups. Companies like IKEA, Uber, Apple, Google, Tesla, and many others could never have become successful if they had ignored even a single stakeholder group. Many of business do it subconsciously. They don't realize this task, or they do it intuitively, but nevertheless they do it anyway. No business can thrive without loyal customers, dedicated and engaged employees, reliable business partners, reasonable shareholders, and the support of regulators and society. How does a company interact with stakeholders? Every company is involved in basically in 2 types of activities. A company creates value for stakeholders, for customers, for employees, for shareholders, for business partners, etc. And also the company captures value from stakeholders. So this is what I call the value exchange. So our world is all about value exchange. Take a grocery store, for example. It creates value for customers through a convenient location, reasonable prices, and a good selection of products. It captures value from customers in the form of money. The store creates value for employees by providing jobs, and in return, it captures value from employees in the form of their time and hard work. It creates value for suppliers by offering purchase volumes and payments while expecting timely deliveries, discounts, and attractive payment terms in return. For shareholders, the store generates profit, expecting support and investment in exchange. It complies with regulatory requirements, counting on approvals and legal permissions in return. For society, it creates value by providing jobs and paying taxes while expecting public support and approval in return. So it's a very simple example, but even the biggest company in any industry works this way. It creates value for shareholders and it captures value for stakeholders. I'm sorry. And the more value it creates, the more value it can capture. And the more value a company can capture, the faster it develops. So our world is a marketplace of value. You participate, we all participate in value exchange every single second of your time. Whatever you do, and you are either creating value or capturing value or doing both at the same time. Even in conversations with loved ones, with your friends, with your family members, you exchange intangible values. Right now, both you and I are investing our time in this presentation, creating value for each other and expecting to receive value in return. Value exchange is what makes the world go round. Any organization exists only as long as it can continue creating value for all stakeholder groups and capturing value from them. Creating value is the very essence of the business. So it's safe to assume, it is logical to assume it. It makes perfect sense to assume that our strategy must also be somehow must revolve around this value exchange. So if business is all about value exchange, our strategy must also be about value exchange, because strategy is not a separate discipline. We don't need a strategy just to have a strategy. We need a strategy to develop our company and to make it more successful than it is now. So every company is a value machine. It is a machine for creating and capturing value. It runs on hundreds of processes, sometimes complex, sometimes messy. But at the end of the day, every single one of these processes exists to create value for some stakeholder group. Maybe for only one stakeholder group, maybe for several stakeholder groups at a time. But every single process in any business exists only to create or capture value. If a process isn't creating value for anyone, it has no reason to exist. And just so you know, I'm absolutely certain that at least 10% of processes in any business create zero value for anyone, totally zero. I call these business processes value waves. By that, I mean that every process has the right to exist only if it creates meaningful value for at least one stakeholder. And if it doesn't create value directly, it should at least contribute to the creation of that value. No value, no processes. You can come up with an amazing product, build an innovative business model, and get the whole world talking about you. But one upset supplier or one unhappy employee can turn your perfect dream into a living nightmare. So business is all about processes that create value for stakeholders. So we need this fact must be reflected in our strategy somehow. But you can't, I believe that you won't find the word process in many books on strategy. So business isn't about technology. Technology and the solution it enables are just tools to create more value for customers and other stakeholders and capture more value from them. We call technological advancement, technological progress, the technological advancement, the engine of progress. But that's not actually true, because only about 1% of inventions, technical inventions, actually turn into products. And what inventions make it? What inventions become products? The ones customers love the most, customer needs. That's the real engine of progress. So if making business means managing value waves or business process that create value for stakeholders, what is strategy? To me, strategy is not a path from A to B. It might sound counterintuitive, but I don't see strategy as a plan to chase mythical goals. Strategy to me is a set of coordinated actions aimed at creating additional value for all stakeholders. The more value a company generates for its stakeholders, the faster it grows. And of course, it doesn't have to forget about itself and also capture enough value from the stakeholder. stakeholders. If it can make its stakeholders, customers, employees, shareholders, and business partners happier, it becomes unstoppable. Of course, we still need a goal, but in a slightly different way than it is done in most of the cases. I'll explain what I mean a bit later. So, strategy is a set of actions agreed upon by all business leaders. One, they choose a shared direction for growth. Two, they plan changes to value ways, also known as business processes. And three, the processes are adjusted so that the company creates more value for stakeholders and captures more value from them. The business grows and in the right direction at the right pace. That's what I mean by strategy. At least it's my approach. And how can we apply it? How can we apply this idea to the real business? And what I do in my job, it's part of my job, and how I help other businesses to craft and to implement their strategies. First of all, I believe we should forget about smart strategic goals. 20 years ago, when I was a CEO, I tried to apply this. It's a nice concept in general. It doesn't it's not applicable for strategic goal from my point of view, in my experience. The SMART framework works only for simple, familiar, and clear goals. But strategy is about doing what no one has ever done before. It's about constant exploration, experimentation, and innovation. Trying to set a clear, measurable goal for something like that is like thinking that you already know who will be the US president in 2036. The legendary entrepreneurs you read about in magazines didn't set smart strategic goals. They inspire their teams to create and innovate, not just hit targets. Goals really just reflect two things from my point of view, strategic goals, I mean. The overall direction of the company growth and development and the pace of this growth. For example, you might decide that you want to focus on, I don't know, on premium services for wealthy clients and grow by at least 50% per year. For me, it is a strategic goal. Or maybe you and your team agree that your target market is, I don't know, cybersecurity, that you will build the solutions only for large enterprises, that you want to operate worldwide, and that 30% annual growth rate seems right. Some might say that it looks or sounds more like a vision than the strategic goal. But honestly, I don't get caught up in labels. I've looked, but I've never found any interview where great entrepreneurs said they used SMART goals or SWOT analysis. What I have seen is how visionary entrepreneurs change the world with their solutions, products, and strategies. I have worked a lot with startups, and of course, not all of them were successful, but some of them were very successful. A few words about positive thinking also and strategy, of course. People say that positive thinking helps business leaders become successful. That setting ambitious goal and coming up with bold ideas leads to success. But there is no scientific proof of that. In fact, plenty of research questions this idea. Positive thinking and strategy is brilliantly criticized by Richard Rumeld in his book, Good Strategy, Bad Strategy. So be realistic when setting your strategic goal. Don't chase illusions. Write the mission statement. So for me, it is a very important document. A mission statement answers, it's a part of strategy. Some theories believe that mission statement is something that is not a part of strategy. I don't share this view. I believe it's even more important than vision, for instance. A mission statement answers 4 questions. 1, who do we work for? Who are customers? And why? Why these customers? Why not others? What do we give them? Basically, what value do we create for these customers? What make us special? Why can we deliver more value for our customers than others? And question number 4 is, why is delivering this value so important to us? Why do we want to change for the better in this world? What do we want to change for the better? And here an example of a working mission statement. Quote, we work for mothers. We help them take good care of their babies with our one-of-a-kind developmental toys that can entertain and educate small children. Our unique products are so entertaining that while kids are playing with them, their moms can carve a moment to relax or attend to their duties. Our exceptional corporate culture and the spirit of innovation make our product unique. We work hard so moms worldwide can be proud of their smart children, end quote. From my experience, I realized that mission matters way more than a strategic goal or a vision. Vision is about the future. It can feel distant and uncertain. And while it's definitely motivating, employees need to know that their work is making a real impact right now. That's why a mission statement is so powerful. It gives employees the sense of purpose today, not just someday in the future. You also absolutely need to have a clear understanding of what all your key stakeholders want. So you need to know all the stakeholder needs. I've seen a lot of companies that work hard to find out what their customer needs. Many of them also did a good job of determining what their employees need. But I have seen few companies that asked themselves the same question about their business partners, for instance, or society. These group of stakeholders are always ignored. The best way to understand stakeholder needs, constantly interview people from all these groups. A lot of companies outsource this practice to specialized agencies, and there are many of them, and some of them are very good. But I highly recommend reading Rob Fitzpatrick's book, The Mom Test, and to run at least some of these interviews yourself. My experience shows that the interview process itself gives entrepreneurs just as many insights and ideas as the actual results. So when I start the strategy project, I always insist that all the top executives must interview some stakeholders, at least 10 stakeholders each. And it works very well. They always come back with a lot of great insights, and they learn a lot of new things, even though they have been working in this industry for years. Of course, you've got to be ready for conflicting demands, because there will be plenty of conflicting needs. It's very hard job. That's why few companies are successful. So it's very hard to find the right balance between the needs of different stakeholders. They're conflicting, they're contradictory. There's no way you will be able to satisfy all the needs. So it is also a strategic question: what needs of our stakeholders we are going to satisfy? Because our customers have many needs, and we can't satisfy all of them. We can focus on 2 of them, or 3 of them, and satisfy them perfectly. But it's also a strategic choice: what needs we will satisfy. If you do your homework of interviewing your stakeholders, there is still a chance you won't meet all their needs. But if you don't do interviews, you're guaranteed to miss some of the needs. This may be the most important slide in my presentation. We should map our key process. Process mapping is usually seen as a tool for cutting costs or improving products. You probably won't find the word process in many strategic textbooks. But as we've already discussed, a company runs on process. So actually, a company is a set of process or value waves, as I call them. And the processes or value waves are what create value for stakeholders. So technically, we can't even say that a company creates value. Actually, a company runs process, a company performs processes, and these processes create value for stakeholders. And if you want to create new value for them and capture value in return, you have to change those processes somehow. Most strategies fail because of processes. Leaders set goals, come up with KPIs, and try to motivate people and do it very well. But no one actually digs into the processes. So on paper, the company is aiming to create unique value for customers and other stakeholders, while in reality, it's still producing the same things it did 3 years ago, because it hasn't changed its processes. So it's very important part of a strategic development process, and it's from my experience, at least, it's the hardest part. When top executives try to map their processes, it becomes clear they don't understand how their business works. And if they don't understand how their business works, how can they change this business for the better? So that's very important point from at least my experience, and I will always use this process mapping for strategic development. We also need to determine our key assets. So we basically make a list of the key tangible and intangible assets we need to create or significantly develop to deliver more value to stakeholders and capture more value from them. We should pay special attention to intangible assets. And we shouldn't forget that things like culture, competences, and employee engagement are also assets, even if they're hard to measure or quantify or to assess. So to me, they are also strategic assets. And so you get, now you've got enough information to put together a change plan. What do we know by then? You know what your stakeholders want, where you are headed, what value you want to create for the stakeholders, and what value you expect in return. You've agreed on which processes to change, why, when, and how, and you've decided which assets to build or develop. In other words, you got everything you need to map out your action plan. I know that might sound a bit strange, but by doing all this, I mean stakeholder needs, processes, etc., you're actually laying the foundation for your strategy. Of course, this isn't the whole strategy yet. We will still need to do a lot of boring stuff, but this is a foundation for every strategy. We need to have a list of stakeholders. We need to know their needs. We need to have we need to agree on basic the direction of development of our business and the pace of development, and we need to have a list of assets that we will develop or create from scratch. And this is the basement of our strategy. This is foundation on which we will build the strategy as a whole. In fact, strategy answers 25 questions from my point of view, and I will share these questions with you very soon. But if we've done everything we've talked about so far, we've already got the most important part, the foundation of the strategy. And when we have an action plan, we should act. Basically, what should we do? So, what we've discussed today. Summary. what I believe we shouldn't do with strategy. Strategy is not point A and point B. It's not a bridge. It's not the path from current state to our future state, because we can't describe the future state. The environment is too uncertain, and of course we can. There are many good tools for scenario planning, foresight. I'm also a foresight expert, and I love it. But there is no way that we can somehow predict the future or anticipate the future. Our assumptions will be wrong anyway. So what we can do is just to develop, to choose a direction and a pace of growth, and develop in this direction by creating more value for all stakeholder groups. And I've seen a lot of successful companies, and when I researched what they did, I saw this pattern time after time. They behaved this way, even though, by the way, some of them didn't have strategy. They didn't have a document called strategy, but they thought strategically and they acted strategically. So about don'ts, we don't have to use SMART goals, and we shouldn't overthink goals. Even if we set a goal super precisely, it won't actually make this goal more achievable. We can calculate the goal, we can discuss it, we can spend weeks on setting this goal, but it doesn't make it more achievable. Use the right side of the screen. A goal is about direction and growth speed, not a fixed point in the future. Strategy is about creating extra value for stakeholders and capturing more value from them. And strategy is about changing key processes. As I mentioned earlier, a full strategy document answers 25 key questions. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time to go through all of them. It would take too long. It can take the whole day, but you can get the full strategic checklist absolutely for free, no registration required. I don't want to take your emails. So you just can scan this QR code that you can see on the screen and download this checklist in PDF file totally for free. And this checklist breaks down all 25 strategic questions in detail. So if you are interested, you will have everything you need. You might also be interested in my book. I've written a book on strategy. It's actually a mini book because I don't believe in thick books of 600 pages. It's a very short book, just 165 pages. You can also find more information by scanning this another QR code. And also, I write a lot about strategy on LinkedIn. Of course, it's always for free, and I'm happy to use this platform. And I have a free newsletter. Everything is for free. You don't have to pay. It's called Strategic Scene. Join our community, people who are looking for new unconventional ways to think about business strategy. I position myself as a contrarian strategist. I believe we need to at least to question some fundamentals of any theory, and especially it is relevant for business strategy because it's not a theory, because we can't actually check or prove its assumptions on practice. So we have to sometimes to question even things we believe that are axioms. So I will be happy to answer your questions. But thank you for listening. Huge thanks to organizers for the opportunity to be part of this amazing event, and wishing you success, successful strategic decision, and thanks for your attention. I will stop sharing and I will be happy to answer the questions.
We have few more minutes if you would like to talk about those questions. So please feel free, because next session is we are trying to reach Alan Fell.
Yes, I know.
So you can just take use of this time if you prefer. Yeah.
Yes, I'm going. That's why I just stopped sharing my screen, but I'm happy to answer the question.
Yeah. No, you gave the 25 questions, right? And strategy.
Yes,
So
the 25 strategic question on which theories, concept, principles, and frameworks of which strategy thought leaders are each of them based? Actually, the very good questions. Thank you, Mihai. They are based on many theories, because as a strategist and as a former CEO, I have read a lot of books on strategy, a lot of books, articles, and I can't say that this is a new theory. And I never positioned these 25 questions as my unique approach, that as something that nobody has ever done before. It is a summary of the best theories that I am familiar with, and I believe I am familiar with at least most strategic theories. So I don't pretend that I have reinvented strategy. And I believe that strategy is a set of right questions. And as a strategy consultant, I never tell companies what to do. I believe that my job is asking the right questions about customers, about market, about unique value proposition, about many other things that you will find among those 25 questions. And these questions are relatively simple, which doesn't mean that answering this question is simple. It's very hard. But I believe this is quite of quintessence of what smart people, brilliant strategists have thought about. And it is not a unique strategy that no one has ever heard about. Can you share one example of business case which is built on your value model? Listen, I don't work with companies like Google, Amazon, or Microsoft. I work with businesses. I would say that these businesses are average. So names like EDS Trading or Ekaton Plus, I believe that they won't tell you much. Unfortunately, these are average businesses. For instance, one of them has 600 employees. Their annual turnover is about $185 million. It's not a very big company, but this company works in the real market and fights for every dollar with the competition. And I believe I help them, not the names, just business case. Just a business case. For instance, there was a company, it's a very interesting case and I'm proud of it. The company works, it was a supplier of some supplementary products for factories. For instance, a factory that produces furniture buys the basic raw materials for furniture, but it also purchases a lot of stuff like, I don't know, gloves for workers, paper, or some special fabrics for cleaning machinery and so on. And this company was a supplier, it was a big national company in quite a big country. And the problem was the competition was too tough. There were a lot of companies which supplied the same things, and actually their value proposition was basically the same. So the customers, the clients didn't see much difference between different companies. And this company, my client, was looking for a new way to beat the competition, to become unique. And we were looking for it for a few months. We conducted about 100 customer interviews. We interviewed procurement managers. We interviewed the CEOs of our clients. We interviewed the top executives. And one of these top executives said a phrase that became a basement for our new strategy. He said, I don't want to think about buying this stuff because it's not raw materials. It's not that important for me. I would like this stuff just to appear on my warehouse. I didn't want to think about gloves for my workers, a special kind of gloves. I just want them on my warehouse. And we adopted the strategy of so-called inventory management. So we reinvented the business. We reinvented the business model. We stopped selling this stuff to their clients. They actually, I was just an assistant. It was not my idea. Basically, I just helped this idea to appear. They reinvented the business model and they started managing their clients' warehouses. In some cases, they even rented the space in their countries, in their clients' warehouses, and managed it. So when the client needed gloves or screws or screwdrivers, they were always on the warehouse, on the stock. And they changed the model and they became very successful in their country. Customer interviews are very powerful tool, and I don't start any strategy project before we conduct at least 20-25 customer interviews. And I believe that I'm not the one who must conduct them. I believe that CEOs and top executives must, because in many cases, they have no idea what their clients think. That's why some, by the way, that's why some small startups create something that their big competitors, incumbents can't, because their founders know the customers very well. They talk to customers every day. Some of them answer phone calls. Some of them deliver their products. So they hear customers. They see customers. They observe customers as they work or live, and they can tweak their products. They can adjust their products to their needs. But when a company becomes big, the CEO never or very rarely see clients face to face. They don't talk to customers. They don't see customers, and it is delegated to marketing department. And that's why it doesn't work from my experience. Okay, if there are no more questions, many thanks for you for listening, for inviting me here. Many thanks to organizers. I wish you the best with your strategies. And I believe you need a short break before the next session starts.